now we're recording. We're picking up our voices. Say something.
Hello.
Yeah, oh, beautiful. We got quite a few commercials. Huh. Advertising picks up in the summertime. Okay. You're going to do great. Don't worry. Just remember, super organic, fireside chat. All right? It's all about you.
Welcome to the Great Scott Show, where homes, hearts and hometowns come
A great
together.
place to validate
Hosted by a local
But I also
expert
find-
and friendly neighbor, Adam Scott from Great Scott Homes. Each week we chat with the people shaping our community. From
Talk
real
this year.
estate to real talk,
We are
it's
100%
all right
behind
here.
her.
Let's get started.
Here on Friday, July, what is the date today? Friday, July 7th. Just kicking off summer right now as that beautiful weather rolls in over the weekend. As everybody knows who tunes in weekly here to listen to me ramble on about all kinds of different things, the only scripted part of the Great Scott segment is, of course, my amazing introduction. And typically I get help from my guests on that, and I did reach out to my special guest to, provide me with some cheat notes on how I could put together a special introduction for them. He did not, so I had to do this all by myself from scratch, and I was pulling from memory as much as I possibly could. I got a little bit of help from someone in particular, and of course got the nod of approval. But here we go. Special guest today, July 7th, the Great Scott Show. My guest today, joining me from the busy streets of Halifax, but he's originally from a far-off land across the pond. Immigrating to Canada in 2000 at just 11 years of age, his family moved him not to the bustling streets of Toronto, nor the diverse communities of Montreal. They didn't choose a climate remotely resembling home such as Vancouver, nor did they decide to hibernate on the shores of Nova Scotia for 8 months of the year while popping their heads out like gophers for the 2 months we call summer. No, the Perkins family chose booming Calgary, before eventually settling in the even bigger boomtown of Fort McMurray, Alberta. How am I doing so far?
Great. I think it's July 10th, though.
Was it July 10th? It's July 10th. I'm reading those numbers backwards. For those of you, don't interrupt my introduction. For those of you who don't know him, Chris Perkins. Oh, no, wait, sorry. Oh, yeah, look, I've lost track already. I'm blowing this. Anyways, there, young Chris came of age in a foreign land of snow, darkness, pickup trucks, and strangers, or so I'm told. But fear not, good listeners. For those of you who don't know him, Chris Perkins is a remarkably personable young man, armed with British charm, quick wit, and that wonderfully dry sense of humor that only seems to develop after generations of discussing the weather while pretending everything is just fine. He quickly made friends, one in particular, and it was through that friendship that Chris discovered his true calling in life: real estate. After a brief stint working alongside his high school chum and a turn waiting tables at the local Boston Pizza, and thanks in part to his great sense of fashion accessories, fate intervened. Legend has it that his future mentor Colin spotted Chris serving tables while proudly wearing a realtor pin on his uniform and thought to himself, if this guy is wearing a realtor pin while slinging pizzas at Boston Pizza, I need him on my team. And just like that, Chris had found his professional home. The years passed in Fort McMurray, and Chris overcame many obstacles along the way. His boyish good looks, the infamous purple monster, and of course the legendary Lego Blocks affair. Eventually, he set his sights on a warmer climate with ample opportunity and heard tell of a little-known city on Canada's east coast called Halifax. And thus began Chris's next chapter. Building relationships throughout the local real estate community, he helped launch my favorite iteration of our little brokerage that could, HaliPad. From there came the evolution into the globally recognized name we know today, building a boutique brokerage with agents serving all corners of Nova Scotia. The South Shore, that's me, the Valley, the North Shore, and of course the HRM. Today, armed with legendary phrases such as be like a duck, and enough analogies to fill an entire notebook, Chris joins me to share stories from the prequel years, what he's working on today, and where he sees both the future of real estate and Coldwell Banker Maritime Realty heading next. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, please welcome Chris Perkins. All hail Chris Perkins. Welcome to the show. You can speak now.
Thank you, Adam Scott.
You're welcome. Wow, so how did I do with that introduction?
That was great. Yeah, I love talking about myself, so it's wonderful.
Well, I mean, the reason I went to such lengths with this introduction is because I know how much you love talking about yourself.
I am being very sarcastic here, by the way, listeners. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, no, I think they could pick
Just
that
want
up.
to make sure.
Yeah.
It's the dry British sense of humor. We have to make sure that, it hits.
So I put this introduction together because there's a lot of little Easter eggs in here, and it's going to make it very easy for you to just be able to, conversationally talk about yourself and your life. And let's start off with something real easy. What was Chris Perkins like as a student?
I didn't really fit in. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't know. I always ended up hanging out with people that were older than me for whatever reason, and that seems to, I am getting old myself now, so that doesn't happen quite as much anymore.
So now you're your best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So were you a straight A student? I don't even know this about you. Were you a straight A student?
I don't know,
Were you a slacker?
I graduated with honors, and I was going to be accepted.
Shrugs his shoulders as he says that, folks. Oh,
Well, my dad promised he would get me a vehicle if I graduated with honors, so that was what I aimed for. And I was accepted to school into university, and then it was to be an engineer.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I'm probably not going to enjoy engineering. Nothing against engineers, don't get me wrong, but I always wanted to own my own business. So instead of going to post-secondary school,
Yeah.
I went to real estate school,
Right.
which at the time only took 3 months to complete. So
Yeah.
here I was at 18 years old, looking like I was 11, and now I had a real estate license.
He's very young looking. I hope he holds on. I hope you hold on to that until, forever.
Back then, though, that was a problem.
Yeah, that was a problem. Yeah. You looked like 16.
Yeah, not even, I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
At least one of my first mistakes was as I was working at Boston Pizza, I left my business cards at the front
Yeah.
with my picture on them.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so my two favorite comments were from a woman that said, I've got a pair of shoes older than this kid. And somebody else said, I wouldn't buy Lego from him.
That's one of my favorite Perkins stories is the Lego.
Those two hurt at the time.
Yeah.
But the one that really got me,
Yeah.
I was actually out showing a property this time, and it was to a mum and their, must have been a 5 or 6 year old kid. And halfway around the showing, this 6-year-old looks up at me and says, do you even own a house? So even the 6-year-old knew that I was way too young to be selling real estate.
That one hurt the most?
Yeah, that one did.
That one hurt the most. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right, not the Lego blocks one, because I love the Lego blocks one. It's like one of my favorites. Yeah. Let's tell the folks what you did with that Lego. You took that pain and you turned it into something else.
Yeah. So a few years later, I did own a house at that point.
Yeah.
And
In your face, 6-year-old. Yeah.
still dealing with the constant questions about how old I am. And one day, I opened the door, and a door-to-door salesperson said, "Hi, are your parents home?" And I thought, oh, how am I going to get over this? Like, it's just 5 years later, I'm still dealing with it.
Yeah.
So I ran an ad on the radio,
Yeah.
and it basically said, oh, I see you've just sold your house that was not on the market for very long. Who do you use? We used Chris Perkins. Chris Perkins, he doesn't look old enough to sell Lego. Yes, but he sold my house in no time. And from that point forward, everyone knew me as the Lego guy,
Yeah.
and my perceived weakness became one of my biggest standout strengths.
And you owe that guy, whoever that was at Boston Pizza all those years ago, a big old thanks.
Thanks for the inspiration.
Yeah, thanks for the inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is a very inspirational story. See, this is going okay, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're doing okay.
Yeah, I'm settling down. I was very nervous, listeners.
Yeah, he messaged me, folks. What was the exact text? I don't know what time it was, but it was about 40 minutes before the show. And he said, I wasn't nervous until 97 seconds ago. You're very precise sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was it at 97 seconds that was like, or sorry, what was it 97 seconds before that made you finally like, oh my God, I'm going to be on radio? You've been on television. This is like, nobody's even here. You don't even know how many listeners I have. I could have 10.
I just want to make
I
sure
know my
everyone
mom's listening.
I want to make sure everyone enjoys this, right? So it's just like this pressure to be interesting. Not everyone's like as charismatic as Adam Scott.
Oh, please. They don't tune in for me. They tune in for that seat over there. That's what they're tuning in for. They want to hear about who I have on the show. Yeah, not this guy, not this schlep that just walks in off the street 15 minutes prior to show.
One of my top agents, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Top agents. Hey, ask me if I sold a house today.
Did you?
Let me see. Soon.
Well, that's great. Perfect. Keep us updated.
I'll let you know at the end of the show, folks. I'll let you know at the end of the show. Oh, and now I just closed up on my notes here. So I did prepare actually a little bit. I lied. I did a little preparation because this is Chris Perkins that's in the studio today, and I needed to make sure that I had all my ducks in a row. You can't be his #1 agent without having at least some organization and some ducks in a row. And so I did come with it, and again, that's why I loaded up this. Oh, that's an interesting story. So I didn't know that you were going to move to Calgary, and initially it was Calgary, but you ended up in Fort McMurray. What was it? Why did the family move you up to Fort Mac? That is a bit of a desolate place. Tell me about Fort Mac.
We landed in Edmonton, aimed for Calgary, and missed, so we went north. And my dad used.
Oh, so you never even went to Calgary?
No, didn't get there.
Oh, I
But,
lied in my intro.
That's okay.
Okay.
So my dad, he had a friend up there that he'd reconnected with, who was he was a welder. So my dad at the time was a heavy duty mechanic. There's a lot of heavy duty machinery in Fort McMurray.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah.
So we went up there for a visit, and he was hired and offered a job within 3 hours of being in the city.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, you had the Fort McMurray 5-year plan,
Yeah.
and 17 years later, I was the first to leave.
Was it a 5-year plan?
And that wasn't. Usually, it is with Fort McMurray to begin with,
Right,
And
yeah.
then it never turns out that way.
And yeah, okay, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, well, I believe that. And so when you started real estate there, what was the market like? What was Colin like? You always talk about your mentor, Colin.
Yeah. So
So tell me a little bit about, tell us a little bit about that.
I think in any career you need a great mentor, and luckily Colin found me. And for 10 years he taught me basically everything I know in real estate, and I have huge respect for him. He has 2 successful brokerages now in Alberta, so that's the reason I have a brokerage now, is because of all of his influence on me over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And I went looking for the same thing here with other brokerages. And nothing against the brokerages I was at, but it wasn't what I was used to. So the only way to find it was to create it. Yeah, and Fort McMurray, it was when I first started in real estate, it was it was a boom town. Like, we're very much tied to oil prices, so we saw
What year would that have been?
2008. Well, actually, that was a recession at that time.
That was a recession at
But
that time, yeah.
so I got into real estate during a recession, which was helpful
Yeah.
because I didn't know any different. I just assumed this was how difficult it was to sell real estate. So that's what I got into. And then there was a boom, and then there was a massive bust.
Yeah.
Like, part of the reason I left, actually, apart from the 2016 forest fire where everyone was evacuated, was I found myself sitting at tables with people that had seen their entire retirement savings erased in literally a matter of months.
Yeah.
Property
That
value.
was prior to the fire. Was that prior to the fire?
No,
Or was it a combination of oil and then the fire?
we peaked in 2014, and then it fell and fell and fell after
Yeah.
that. The fire actually boosted our market for a period of time.
Oh, okay.
30% of the city burned down.
Yeah.
So now you
Right.
have a housing supply issue.
Yeah.
You have an injection of trades and investment into the city. The rental demand went up. The renters that lost their home used their tenant insurance as down payments
Oh, wow.
to buy houses.
Oh, wow.
So the fire was actually something that lifted the market for a period of time. But despite all that, it wasn't enough for it to, return to pre-oil crash levels. And I was tired of disappointing people, like
Right,
literally
yeah.
having people cry at the table across from me.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
That's rough. Yeah.
but it prepped me for, like, I have sold in every type of market imaginable now, which sets me up for something like COVID when it happens in Halifax.
Yeah. Yeah. What, you've sold in a market like that before? In another pandemic that I don't know about?
Fort McMurray makes you very resilient. So
Yeah. I was in BC at the time, I was just moving out west at the time of the recession. And did I ever tell you this? That I was in fractional ownership for condos out in BC. That was like 2009. And that was tough to sell because I didn't sell any of it. I tried, though. I tried real hard. That's where I got my first bug for real estate, though, was doing that. I did enjoy the work. It was just difficult to sell the fractional ownership, which is vacation property, recreational property.
you sold a house today, so that's good.
I sold a house today. That's right. Yes. Yeah, I did. I thought about getting my real estate license there, but no, family matters, and we had to pack up and move out east, which was a much better decision than staying there. And then, are you looking at do you have somewhere to be there, Mr. Perkins?
No, I'm just
keeping track of time so that I make sure I do my station ID, which actually is coming up in 30 seconds here. Yeah, I should probably do that momentarily. But let me finish my quick little real estate story here, backstory. Yeah, I was doing, so then I left, we came here, and then I was approached by an agent at Royal LePage. I did tell you this part though. I was approached by an agent at Royal LePage to come and do whatever I was going to do. I didn't know anything about it, and I declined again because brand new in Halifax. I didn't know anything about it. No network, no nothing. Just some family members that I had only just met. Not even my family. They were Wendy's family, but they were loving. They were great. They're still. I love them to death. No shade. No shade. And then fast forward to just before the pandemic, and Royal LePage approached me once again. And at that time, I was like, well, I got a really great network. I think perhaps I can try this little thing called real estate. And try I did, and here I am. And folks, it's 12:30 in the afternoon. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to Adam Scott here on The Great Scott Show. I've got Chris Perkins in the studio with me here on 88.7 Cove FM. We're going to try something a little bit different today. If you want to send your questions into us and talk about or have us answer questions about real estate, if you got questions about real estate, please send me a text at 902-717-5225, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. Or if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, we've got studio@covefm.com. Go ahead and send your questions there, and we'll answer those throughout the show as they come in. Once again, 902-717-5225. Send us those questions. Back to Chris Perkins. Enough about Adam Scott. Oh, excuse me. All right, so we moved from Fort McMurray. We've transitioned into Halifax now. You see that the grass is greener and there's lots of opportunity here in this little coastal town called Halifax. You've started out in a couple of different brokerages, but then you decide, you know what? It's not like it was back home in Fort McMurray where you got to work with Colin for those 10 years. You loved the way that brokerage operated. You loved his style, and you thought, I can replicate that. I can do that here. I want to do that here in Halifax. And so now we are talking about the genesis of HaliPad, which is my favorite iteration of our tiny little boutique brokerage that could. I will always, HaliPad will always hold a special place in my heart. And I think it has a wonderful, cute little story about how that name came about. Something about a blue squishy frog that was sat on at the beach, something about an actual frog for the original logo for HaliPad. Chris Perkins, go ahead and share with the listeners.
Well, there's the frog didn't last very long.
No, it didn't. I know it didn't.
No. But then we had
this is Chris Perkins we're talking about. But yeah.
Play on words, Hali and Pad, which I thought was very clever, HaliPad. And then, let's make the logo a frog, because where does a frog live? So, it's kind of like a little gimmicky. So we quickly lost the frog. I still have pictures of the frog.
It did have a lot of like tech company connotations, I think, with that. But anyways, yes, go ahead. Yeah.
So we killed the frog, unfortunately. And then we stuck with HaliPad for a while, but I realized pretty quickly that if I have Hali in my name, I pretty much alienate the rest of the province. So that was a big problem. And unbeknownst to me, Pad in Nova Scotia is primarily associated with rentals.
Yes, I know. That is so strange. So listeners, it's funny, where Chris and I, you all know that I'm not from here originally, and Chris, of course, is from Britain. The word pad takes on a whole other meaning and definition for us from where we come from. The pad for us growing up in Ontario is simply a place where you live, and I'm assuming it's the same thing for you over in Britain as well, right?
It could be a luxury mansion.
Could be a luxury mansion, yeah.
A nice pad.
Yeah, that's right. It could be anything, exactly. Yeah.
We're not here. We fought against that, and then you and I were actually at a trade show one day, and we started polling people and said, what do you think we do? Do you think we deal with rentals, or do you think we sell real estate? And it was 50-50. After all of the money that I've tried to spend on advertising to show people that we are not in the rental business, I couldn't do it, couldn't overcome it. So that's when Coldwell Banker came about, which was, I was with Coldwell Banker for 10 years, and we wanted to pick a name which was, universal across the province. So that's how we became Coldwell Banker Maritime Realty. Yeah. And and now we have that global network as well. So it's sort of like, HaliPad was me learning how to run a brokerage, and then we've grown up. Basically, is we created when I was...
Those were our adolescent years.
Yeah. When I was 18, I looked like I was 11. I had to provide better customer service and know more statistics than any of my competition. Otherwise, no one would take me seriously. Mm-hmm. So we spent 3 or 4 years doing the same thing with a brand new brand, creating all of these service systems.
Right. Yep.
And then we just, because we had to do the same thing again. Why would you work with HaliPad? Well, because their systems and their service is the best.
Yeah.
And then we took those same services and systems and attached it to a recognized brand.
Yeah.
So everything became easier after that.
It did, yeah. And I was transitioning down to the South Shore here at the time too, so it was a bit of a roadblock, a little bit of an uphill battle to try and get people on board with a brokerage that had half of the name of Halifax in it. And it was commented a few times about, well, don't you just specialize in Halifax? And well, no. So it was a bit, yeah, that was a bit tough. You're forgetting though, when we were at that trade show, there was a very small percentage of people who thought we sold helicopters.
Yeah, well, maybe that's the future.
Maybe that's the future. Yes, yeah, for our luxury pads.
Yes.
Our clients who have luxury pads. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So yeah, folks, that's it. That's the genesis from HaliPad into Coldwell Banker Maritime Realty, and yeah, now here we are. We're reaching all across the province. There's agents all the way down the South Shore and up in the valley, and we focus primarily. I would say primarily. We have a large focus on the HRM, and I do a little dabbling up on the North Shore myself. So yes, we have much more reach now, thanks to Chris Perkins and his ingenious mind about graduating or growing up from HaliPad into Coldwell Banker Maritime Realty. All hail Chris Perkins.
Sometimes you just need to change direction.
Sometimes, yes, exactly. Yep. Sometimes instead of going west, you got to go east. That's right. Hey, this is fun, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you.
This is great. Let's talk a little bit about the market. I think that people really want to know what's going on. And I got a couple of things that I know that I want to talk about, but let's talk about what the market's doing right now, because I think that a lot of people have this idea that our market is tanking, and it's not tanking; it's balancing out. And our market is still different from the major markets across the country. But it is true, inventory has been outpacing our sales. And of course, when that happens, our prices start trending downwards. And that means demand is going down, which means our market becomes a little bit more balanced. But our market is also a little bit more nuanced than that. Comments on that, Chris Perkins?
Well, the reality is our sales are down 8% from last year. Mm-hmm. And our homes for sale is up almost 20%. So if you add those two things in, then that's why prices they're starting to soften now. But our average price at the moment is still 2% higher than our peak last year. So if you think the market is tanking, we have a higher price currently than we did last year.
Yep.
Right. We have more inventory now than we've had since November of 2019, so pre-COVID levels. But I always look at the market in what's called months of supply. So if nothing else were listed, how long would it take for all of the homes to sell at the current rate of sales?
I love that metric too. I use that metric all the time. Yeah.
So 3 to 6 months is a balanced market. We're at 3.5 months of inventory. Mm-hmm. So that means stable prices for the most part. Anything less than 3 months is a seller's market, which is what we were in all through COVID. That's why you saw prices doing what they did. Like if you go to 2022, we had 0.5 months of inventory. So if nothing else were listed, all of the homes would sell in 2 weeks. This is why you've had 20 plus offers on a house and selling for $150,000 above asking. So our market now is much better. It's still a market where home prices are holding steady. Sellers can sell for, more than what they paid for it most of the time. And buyers have the opportunity to take some time to choose. They have opportunities to negotiate, which they haven't had for a long time. So I'm completely fine with the market at the moment and what it's doing. I will say that our market usually peaks every year in May and June. But because of what's going on with Iran and inflation, because of fuel prices, I think we peaked early this year in April. And I do think we're going to see downward pressure on prices for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I do too. I don't think that that's going to change. Just when you take snapshots of the market throughout the month, our inventory is still outpacing our sales. And as long as that continues to happen, we'll see that downwards pressure. But it's also a little bit more nuanced than that too, right? Would you agree? I mean, if you start breaking it down into price buckets, it's becomes a little bit more competitive once you reach a certain lower price bracket. And just in broad strokes, recently I've done a couple of pricing proposals, and trying to find that sweet spot for pricing. anything under 600,000, typically, and again, this is very broad brushstrokes, but under 600,000, you're at less than 3 months of supply under 600,000. If you get above 600,000, then you're over 3 months supply. So
50% of our sales, half, occur between 400 and 600,000.
yes,
So that's the most competitive piece. The more expensive a home is, the fewer buyers there are,
exactly.
the less competitive it is.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's still, like, I find that homeowners who are selling at that sweet spot, that $400,000 to $600,000, they may still find themselves selling quickly and engaging with, a couple more buyers than they would if they were over $600,000. Yeah. But I think for buyers too, it doesn't mean that, you have to worry about competing with 20 buyers and worry about overbidding for a house or anything like that, because those days are done.
I'll go a step further.
Generally speaking,
I'll go a step further on your comment. You can sell a house in any price point at any time of year.
Yeah.
The most important thing is pricing the home correctly. If you get that wrong, it doesn't matter what price point you're in or what time of year it is, you won't sell in a balanced market.
Right.
So that's the most important part.
I agree. Pricing matters. Yeah. And presentation too, somewhat. You got to be able to present the house properly. Yeah. Yes. Good job. What about the condo market? I think the condo market's getting a bad rap right now. I feel bad for the condo market. I know dare I say it, it's in a slump.
Yeah, well, there's a lot more inventory in the condo market and not as many buyers. Like, you think about, everyone at the moment is concerned over how expensive things are, and the first thing that goes under a microscope are condo fees. Mm-hmm. And where building maintenance is going up, the only way that condo fees can go is up as well. Yeah. But it's important, like, a high condo fee isn't necessarily a bad thing if it's maintaining your assets.
Yes.
A low condo fee can sometimes be worse, because if you're letting your building degrade, that's going to cost you significantly more than a condo fee.
And I think that a lot of people forget that as a homeowner, while there is no such thing as a homeowner's fee that you pay monthly, you should still be putting money away every month
when your roof needs replacing.
When your roof needs replacing, or you have a crack in your foundation, or or your hot water tank goes, or something like that. And then that's how I present the condo fees for all of my buyers who are looking at condos or considering purchasing a condo.
Yeah. And all of the construction you see, they're apartment rentals. So renters have a ton more choice right now, so they don't necessarily need to buy a condo. We have a foreign buyer ban, so we can't have people from outside of the country buying a condo in the HRM. We have a non-resident deed transfer tax.
Yep.
So if I want to have a temporary home or temporary condo for 6 months of the year, but live somewhere else, I'm paying an additional 10%.
Yeah.
So on $500,000, that's $50,000 in non-resident deed transfer tax.
That's tough.
If you live in New Brunswick, your neighbor, we're taxing fellow Canadians.
We're in the Maritimes.
Yeah. So all of those things together are making it.
They really do impact the condo market for sure. Yeah. I just had a thought too. Oh my gosh, it was a good one, and I've forgotten now. But yes, those are definitely hindering the condo market. Oh, it was such a good thought. I don't know. We'll have to get back to that. What were we just talking about before the 10%? Anyways, it doesn't matter. It matters. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But the condo market. Okay, so the condo fees aside, though, I mean, the average purchase price of getting into a 2-bedroom condo for a first-time home buyer. I mean, I think that you try to buy a first-time home buyer purchasing a house now. The average purchase price is, what were we just talking about? $630,000 versus if they were looking at a 2-bedroom condo, the average purchase price for that is what?
Right, you could probably get in. Well, it depends where it is, but if it's on the peninsula, 500s.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you look at that, that's the other thing. Like, if I can get into a semi-detached in Timberley or Coal Harbour, like, do I want to live in a 2-bedroom condo, or do I want to go to the, call it suburbs, whatever you want to call it,
right,
and have a backyard?
Yeah.
And then that's what we should be building. Like, not these towers. Like, I have a Dachshund named Dwayne.
Dwayne, yes, love that.
I can't live in a condo building because he's quite barky.
He talks a lot.
He's loud. Yeah,
he
I love
talk
him.
a lot.
Lots of character. I love him. But
yeah.
I don't want to live in a tower.
Yeah, he talks a lot. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Construction starts are also down by like 50%. Yes,
because there's no demand there. I mean, the good news is if we're
in fact, I think the only new condo build right now is actually Navy Lane.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thankfully, it's nothing like what's happening in Toronto. So what I like about the Halifax market is, despite everything that's going on in the world, It is very predictable, very stable because of things like universities. We've got government jobs here. We've got tourism. So we are quite insulated to outside pressures, which, I think provides investors confidence.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great discussion so far. I hope our listeners are finding this useful. I haven't received any text messages with questions regarding the real estate market, but if you have any, send them to 902-717-5225 or you can email them to studio@covefm.com. We'll be happy to answer them for you here on the Great Scott Show, 88.7 Cove FM. We're going to take a quick little commercial break, and when we come back, we got Chris Perkins in the hot seat still to chat about real estate, and I've got a couple of other questions here I'm going to ask him that I'm sure he's going to appreciate. Stay tuned. Hey folks, we're back here, 88.7 Cove FM. This is Adam Scott here with The Great Scott Show, your host of The Great Scott Show. And joining me today in The Great Scott Spotlight is Chris Perkins. If you're just tuning in, we've had a wonderful conversation about his prequel years and how he became a real estate agent out there, transitioning over to Halifax, the genesis of HaliPad, which eventually turned to Coldwell Banker Maritime Realty. And now we're about to talk about some of our favorite real estate stories. And I know Chris has got a really great one to share with us today. Folks, I heard this one and I immediately almost picked up the phone to call Hallmark Channel and say, I've got the perfect script for you. But I'm not going to ruin it for you. I'm going to let Chris Perkins tell his story. It's a little bit of an early Christmas treat. This is a Christmas, it wouldn't be a Hallmark movie if it wasn't a Christmas story. Get your pens out and start writing your own scripts. Chris Perkins, tell us about the time that you saved, what was the kitty's name again?
Lilo.
Lilo the cat at Christmas.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah.
Take your time. Let's build anticipation here.
Okay, right. So this, I was invited to provide a market evaluation for a seller. So they're about to sell their home, and as I'm doing the tour with them and getting to understand their property and their goals, so we always do, I learned that they wanted to sell as quickly as possible, and they wanted to sell for the highest price possible. Okay, so that's pretty standard stuff. They are about to retire, or they had just retired, and they were going to move in 6 weeks to Europe. So exciting. So now I'm working on a pretty tight timeline here as well to make this.
6 weeks.
Yeah, so this is all standard stuff. But halfway around the appointment, I noticed a cat. And I said to the sellers, what's your plan with Lilo? I said, well, Lilo, albeit healthy, is an 18-year-old black cat that's lived at the house for basically her entire life. And none of her friends wanted to take the cat.
Aww.
They couldn't put it up for adoption because there's no way this 18-year-old cat would be adopted.
Yeah.
And they could not take this cat with them to Europe. So they said, unfortunately, we have to make the heartbreaking decision to put down this old, healthy cat.
Oh my gosh.
And I said,
are you crying yet, listeners?
I said, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to get Lilo included in the sale of this house.
Yeah.
Said, all right, leave it with me. So
it's a tough sale, folks.
5 days later, we had 3 offers on the table. 2 of them agreed to take the cat.
Oh,
right. And
one once, but twice.
And one didn't.
Yeah.
Which one do you think my client picked?
The one that didn't.
The one that didn't want to take the cat.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't even about the money. The money was actually very similar. But this particular couple had written a letter, very nice letter, sent a picture of their family. And this was very helpful for buyers, by the way. Letters go a long way.
They do. Videos, too.
They couldn't take Lilo on because they had just lost their own family cat, and they were still heartbroken and reeling because of that.
Ah, my gosh.
So I was like, come on, though. We've got to save Lilo's.
This Hallmark movie just gets better and better every time I hear it.
Right? So, no, we want to pick the one who wrote the letter that don't want Lilo. And I was like, okay, leave it with me. I don't like taking no for an answer on behalf of my clients. So I said, leave it with me. I'm going to go back to the buyers again. And I said to the realtors, I know that you guys are heartbroken, but you have a chance to save Lilo's life, and this can be some light amid the recent dark. Quote.
Wow.
And they agreed.
I just got goosebumps, people.
So they agreed, and Lilo is, I need to check in, actually. Hopefully still alive today, but certainly saved in that moment.
If not, hopefully due to natural causes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Otherwise, that took a turn from Hallmark Movie Channel to Shudder streaming service.
There was one more twist to it.
Yeah.
The
Ooh, another twist.
The original letter that they had wrote had said that they do not want the cat for this reason.
Yes.
The lawyers read the letter.
Oh.
And a week before closing, the lawyers emailed our lawyers and said, just to confirm, the cat needs to be removed from the house.
Oh, my goodness.
So I was so mad,
Yes.
and I just couldn't believe it. So anyway, but I let it go because obviously they're all packed. They're about to get on a plane. So I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to ask what's going to happen to this cat.
Yeah.
And 2 days before closing, I called the realtor and said how disappointed I was.
Right, yeah.
And like, what do you mean? We want Lilo.
Oh.
The lawyers acted without permission.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lilo was due to be put down the following morning. So 9 lives.
Yeah.
I used a few of them on this one.
Wow, that's crazy. So, folks, if you weren't paying attention, that Hallmark story had heart, it had animals, it had life or death, so much drama. It even had a deadline, like an actual ticking clock. Yeah, that's a really great story. That's your favorite real estate story?
That's like the past year.
I think that's a pretty good one, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have one of those yet under my belt. I've got a lot of real estate stories, but
But real estate is such an emotional experience for people.
yeah.
And, it's our job to alleviate as much stress as possible. Like, my favorite thing to say to my clients is when they provide a problem, I say, don't worry, I've got this.
Yeah.
I've got this. I can handle this. Because that's my job. And I get so much, happiness when I can relieve people's stress like that.
Yes.
That's why I love my job.
I did that the other night too with a client. I was like, don't worry. Don't stress. I was like, you want what you want. You don't even have to tell me why you want what you want. My job is to go out there and get it for you. So that's what I'm going to do. And underneath, I was like, hopefully. But I did. I got it. So yes, and it feels good when you can go back to your client and say, look at me. Haha. Hands on hips like superhero. Well, this has been a great show. We got a few minutes left here. What do we got? Another story here. Oh, I mentioned the purple monster. I don't think I think we should explain that a little bit. It's a very small little tidbit of Chris Perkins' life, but that used to be your mode of transportation when you first started out in real estate, wasn't it?
No.
No?
You're talking. My first vehicle was a 1998 Dodge minivan, which I'm not going to be able to sell real estate in a 1998 Dodge minivan looking like I was 11.
And it was purple, right?
Yeah, well, burgundy, I'd call it, but
okay.
it depends who you ask. But no, thankfully, when my dad promised me that I could have a vehicle, if I graduated with honors, he bought me a Ford Edge.
Yeah.
Which was, professional enough, and I did decal it.
Oh, yeah?
And I remember one time, though.
Did you put Lego blocks on it?
No, not that time.
Oh, okay.
But somebody looked at my branding and then looked at me in the passenger seat and also in the driver's seat and just burst out laughing. So I did deal with this age thing quite a lot. But
you do look much younger for your age, and you know what? As you get older, that'll be a blessing and not a curse anymore. And it certainly is a curse when you're younger and you're trying to be more professional and act the age that you are, while acting an age that you think you need to be in order to impress your clients.
I got ID'd a couple of days ago. That was exciting.
No way.
I did, yeah.
Did you?
Doesn't happen often anymore. But
Wow.
Yeah.
I do not get ID'd anywhere I go, and it's so bad so that I don't even bring my ID with me, which is not good. Yeah, because one of these days I will be lucky enough to be carded. I can feel it in my bones. When somebody asks me how old I am, and I tell them, that's 47, folks, and they look at me and they're like, no, I thought you were like 35. And I was like, well, I'll take it. That's good. That means I'm younger than Chris Perkins. Mm-hmm. That was a good chat. All right, folks. Well, I think that's about all we got here for the Great Scott Show today. Chris Perkins, where can people find Coldwell Banker Maritime Realty?
You can visit us at cbmaritime.ca.
cbmaritime.ca. And that's it. No phone numbers, no emails. Just go online, cbmaritime.ca.
Well, they've got your phone number.
They got my phone number. That's right. Yeah. You call me, folks. I'm his star agent after all. Yes, thank you very much for joining us here today on the Great Scott Show. I've had a blast having you here. It was long overdue. We started this show back in February, And I've actually had a couple people ask me, like, when are you going to have Chris Perkins on the show? You got to have Chris Perkins on the show. Believe it or not, I'm not kidding you. I have had a few people say that to me, and I was like, yeah, it's long overdue, and I have no guest book for July, so I think this is a perfect time.
Thank you. Yeah, I was the alternate.
This is a perfect time. I was going to try and get you in last week, but then when my guest canceled, I had an opening for a great new platform for the first Friday of the month, which is like, now I'm just going to focus on the market update and recap after we get all our numbers and stuff like that. And I mixed it in with music, and it went really well. I really enjoyed it. But
It's a very professional outfit here.
very, very professional, very professional. Yes, folks, thanks so much. I know this is my third time in attempting to sign off, but I always like to ramble. Thanks for joining us here today on The Great Scott Show. This is Adam Scott, your host, 88.7 Cove FM. I'll be back next week with a local publisher. Stay tuned for that. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Enjoy that summer, hot, hot heat and sunshine, and stay safe.